Broadcasting live from an undisclosed location. This is the TCMMA podcast with your host, Chris Cross.
Whoa!
Dana White privilege.
Let's go, baby! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go, baby!
Dana White privilege. Privilege. Privilege.
What up, what up? This your boy Chris Cross checking in. We are live. UFC Vegas 93. Full card preview and predictions. Let's get to it. And there's some other news going on before we get to those predictions. We got 5 good ones for you today. We'll talk about some of the other fights up and down the card. Absolutely. But I wanted to tell you, I just started watching Fight Inc. on Roku. And it's basically a UFC documentary, and it's phenomenal. I'm on episode 2 right now. So, and then there's some other articles already coming out. Obviously, people have watched the entire series and broke down some of the episodes. And, you know, there's some news floating around. UFC documentary shows the unusual negotiation tactics used when making the biggest fight in heavyweight history. Jon Jones and Gane. We'll get into that. Sean Strickland's outrageous outburst caused UFC PR team to hold meetings over antics. Are you serious? That's not good.
Oh, no!
So now Sean Strickland says something, and then the PR team's got to run and have a meeting?
Oh, no!
Oof. I don't like the future of that. So we'll get into that throughout the podcast as well. And then Islam Makhachev fires back at Arman Tsarukyan. He can't get any attention through his fights. And he's not lying, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, he's not lying. So those are some of the topics. I'm reading through the news today, preparing for the show, and all these articles are coming out about this documentary. So I go right to the TV and start it up. Had to figure out how to get Roku and all that, but once we got through that 10-minute process, started watching the UFC documentary, and it's phenomenal. So we'll get into some of those topics throughout the show. So in the first fight in the main card, and it seems like the best fights are in the main card in this one, you got Asu Almabayev, 19-2, taking on Jose Johnson, who's just 16-8. So I saw these records, and I'm like, oh boy. Let's get into that prediction right now. In the flyweight division at UFC Vegas 93, you got Asul Almabayev coming in at 19-2, taking on Jose Johnson, who comes in at 16-8. Almabayev is a huge favorite. Let's see why. Now Johnson's going to be 6 inches taller. Is it 6? No, I'm sorry, 8 inches taller. He stands 6 feet tall. Almabayev stands 5 feet 4. That's crazy. Big height differential in this one. Almabayev is 30, Johnson 29. Johnson has a 7-inch reach advantage. Both guys stand right-handed. Both guys aren't very active on the feet. Almabayev just 3 significant strikes per minute. Johnson 2.8. That's not very good. And Johnson barely lands any takedowns as well. So it's amazing that he's 16-8. A lot of those must have come outside the UFC. Almabayev lands over 7 takedowns per 3 rounds. So more than 2 on average per round. So far, he's beaten CJ Vergara by decision and O'Day Osborne by submission. So think about that. O'Day Osborne is not a bad fighter. He's been around the UFC a little bit. He got absolutely dominated in that fight, just getting all 4 significant strikes in about 8 minutes of action. So that tells you what Almabayev can do. And you're already taking on a guy in Jose Johnson who doesn't land a lot anyway. So this could be a problem for Jose Johnson. Also, he has just a 36% takedown defense. It's not very good. But he's coming off the win over Chad and Helliger by submission. Lost to Damon Blackshear by submission. And beat Jack Cartwright at the Contender Series by decision. So I just don't see it for Jose Johnson. He's got too many losses. I know the UFC wanted to get this guy into the UFC. I didn't realize that he had so few fights in the UFC. So he's got like 6 losses coming outside the UFC. That's not good. Almabayev is way better Then Johnson, this is as close to a sure thing as you can get. I like Almabayev for all the obvious reasons. He leads in significant strikes, but the big deal is the takedown game and the weak takedown defense of Johnson. This is a hard fight to wrap your head around why the matchmakers put this together, because usually they're right on top of it. This one is one-sided. Almabayev gets the win, in my opinion, to move to 20-2 flyweight division, UFC Vegas 93. Yeah, so it's not going to be good for Jose Johnson. It's just not going to be good. Very tough fight. Almabayev is for real, and the record and experience says so. So next fight up, you got a bantamweight division fight, right? Between Douglas Silva de Andrade and Miles Johns. I like that both guys are the same height, but Andrade is a little older than Johns. Johns still right in that prime. He should be getting better. So a little preview to that, but let's get into that prediction right now. In the bantamweight division at UFC Vegas 93, you got Douglas Silva de Andrade coming in at 29-5. He's Brazilian, taking on the American at Miles Johns, who comes in at 14-2. Now both guys stand 5'7". Silva is 38. Johns just 30. Silva has a 3-inch reach advantage, 69-66. Both guys stand right-handed. Both guys landing, in the mid 3.5 range, roughly, in terms of significant strikes per minute. They're both really close. Andrade, 3.7 per minute. Miles Johns, 3.3, but it's close enough to where that won't matter. Miles Johns actually lands more takedowns, like 1 every 3 rounds, compared to Silva's 1 every 5. But we'll see how big of an impact the takedowns are in this fight. Now, Silva de Andrade, 70% takedown defense. He's coming off the win against Cody Stamann, good fighter, by decision. Lost to Said Nurmagomedov, but went to a decision. Just trailed 42-28 in a slow-paced fight in terms of significant strikes. Before that, he beat Morozov and Gaetano Perello. So he's won 3 of the last 4. Miles Johns has been in the game a little bit, for a while. 85% takedown defense. Coming off the win over Cody Gibson by decision. He had a no contest against Dan Argueta. Might as well throw that out. Both guys look good in that fight. Before that, he beat Vince Morales by decision in a very close fight. Very slow-paced fight. So both of these guys are very slow-paced fighters, right? They're going to get a takedown here and there. They're going to look for some control. They're going to stand and strike a little bit. It's going to be an awkward fight that I don't think the fans will necessarily going to like, because it's likely to go to a decision, and who knows who's going to win this fight. I'm going to lean with Miles Johns because he is 14-2. I'm nervous about Silva because he's got a wealth of experience, 34 fights in MMA, and usually when you're a veteran like that, I'd go with you. But right now, Miles Johns only has 2 losses, and he's looked good in his last 3 fights, and he's unbeaten in the last 3. So I look for Miles Johns, a guy that's getting better and better, right? He's just 30. He's right in that prime window. Silva's kind of going downhill, not right away, but slowly. He's headed towards 40. So I just like Miles Johns to win this fight, and I'm going to be rooting for him, but it's really, really close. Miles Johns wins by decision on control time and significant strikes, but mainly he's going to win 2 out of 3 rounds. That's what really matters. To move to 15-2 here, bantamweight division, UFC Vegas 93.
Whoa!
Yeah, that's a close fight, man. That was a tough one to predict. I could always tell when in other predictions, I'm making a prediction at a certain point in time, and on this one it's 45 seconds till the end of the clip, and I'm like, okay, the prediction should be now. Why is there 45 seconds left? And it's because I'm stalling. And that was one that I was stalling, no doubt about it. Now in the featherweight division, you got Timby Kuwamba, 8-2 American, taking on Lucas Almeida, Brazilian, 14-3. Man, this is going to be another good fight. I mean, I know we got Hamza and McGregor in back-to-back weeks coming up, but we still got a week of fighting before we get there, right? We got a week of fighting before we get there, and these are some good fights in the lower weight classes. So let's get into this one, this pick right now. In the featherweight division at UFC Vegas 93, you got Timmy Kuwamba, American, coming in 8-2, taking on the Brazilian, good fighter, and Lucas Almeida. He's 14-3. Almeida, 2 inches taller at 5'11". He's 33 years old. Still in that prime window. Kuamba hasn't even entered the prime yet. He's just 25 years old. Both guys same reach at 71 inches. Both guys stand right-handed. Almeida is a better striker, landing 5.1 significant strikes per minute to 2.5 for Kuamba. In terms of the takedown game, we haven't seen a lot of that from both fighters, so look for a stand-up striking affair. Now, Timmy Kuamba has a 71% takedown defense. He only has 2 UFC fights, which might lead to the lack of takedowns. He did have one against Balaji Oki in a split decision loss where he trailed 60-33 in significant strikes. He beat Mateo Vogel at Dana White's Contender Series. Now, when you look at Lucas Almeida, he has much more experience in the UFC. He actually lost by decision to Daniel Zellhuber, who ended up being a really good fighter. At Dana White's Contender Series, trailed 115-96 in significant strikes. He came into the UFC and won the first fight against Michael Trezano by third-round KO. But since then, he's lost 2 good fighters, in Pat Sabatini and Andre Fili. So, you know, it's really hard to predict how this will go in the future for Almeida, but he came in to the Contender Series at 11-0 before suffering his first loss. Almeida's actually the underdog at plus 170, and that's hard to believe because, you know, Kuamba lost to Balaji Oki. I mean, is Oki that good? I mean, he just dominated Kuamba in significant strikes, 60-33. I don't know. I don't see why he's the favorite. You know, maybe I'll be surprised, but without the crowd chanting USA, I think Lucas Almeida has a chance to win this fight. And even if the crowd was in it, I'm still going with Lucas Almeida. I'm just saying, it makes it even tougher. Almeida is looking for a bounce back win here. Kuamba will be a lower level than all 3 losses that Almeida has sustained, so I expect him to win this fight. His back is against the wall, and he needs a victory here, and I think he gets it by decision on significant strikes. Really simple. Forget the underdog status. He'll win to move to 15-3 here, featherweight division. UFC Vegas 93. Yeah, another tough prediction there. So I got Lucas Almeida winning that one. Very close though. Very tough. Pavel Boyer says, what's going on? How's it going? I feel like against Argueta, he looked bad, but Argueta out-wrestled him. Timmy all day. Yeah, so I went against Boyer right there, but I'm sure we agree on a lot of fights. I'm sure. So next up, we got a middleweight division fight, right? And it's a big one. It's a big one. Ikram Aliskerov, 15-1. One loss against who? Hamza Chimaev. Then you got him taking on Tricola, who's 12-3 Brazilian. But since we're talking about middleweight division, before we even get there, right? I didn't get to this point in the documentary yet, but it says in Fight Inc., UFC documentary shows the unusual negotiation tactics. Well, that's the heavyweight. Let me get to Sean Strickland first. We'll get back to that. Save that one. Sean Strickland's outrageous outburst caused UFC PR team to hold meetings over annex.
Whoa!
This is why I'm telling you, man, as long as Dana White is the president of the UFC, we're safe. We're safe. But the day he steps down is when all this stuff is going to get more shaky. Because you're going to lose the, for lack of better references, the king at the top, who can shut all that down and say, no, we're going to let the fighters say what they want, and we're going to deal with the public relations, you know, because there's always going to be pressure to change and conform. But that's not how the UFC got to the place that it is right now. And listen, it's like Trump. I don't agree with everything he says. I don't agree with everything Sean Strickland says. But at the same time, he's got a right to say what he wants. You know? And I guess in a speech, he had a long speech about not allowing women to vote, and that's the reason the country's going downhill and all these types of things. Couple of choice comments. So then you got the UFC PR team meeting and scrambling and like, what are we going to do? And, you know, and that's why I can't wait to see the clip, because I could be looking at this wrong. It could be just a meeting as far as, okay, this is what he said. Here's how we're going to have to respond. And that's what I can't wait. I've been watching. I'm on episode 2. I can't wait to get to that point because I want to see how the meeting goes down. And I will definitely report back on that. You can be sure on that. So that's what's going on with the UFC documentary. It's really good. But listen, let's not waste any more time, all right? Let's get to the co-main. Ikram Aliskerov, 1 loss, 15-1, only loss to Khamzat Chimaev. Think about that. 1 loss to Khamzat Chimaev, takes on the Brazilian Antonio Tricoli. This would be a good co-main event. A lot of people are big fans of Ikram Aliskerov. Let's get into that pick right now. In the middleweight division at UFC Vegas 93, your co-main event, you got Ikram Aliskerov coming in at 15-1, taking on Tricoli, Brazilian, who comes in at 12-3. So a very high level fight. Tricoli's a tall guy, 6 inches taller than Aliskerov is 6'6". He's 31, Aliskerov 33 for Tricoli, 31 for Aliskerov, excuse me. Tricoli has a 6-inch reach advantage, 82-76. He stands right-handed. Aliskerov stands left-handed. Now, Ikram Aliskerov lands 8 significant strikes per minute to 1.3 for Tricoli. Tricoli can land takedowns though, right? 3.8 over the course of 3 rounds. So that's more than 1 per round. Aliskerov gets like just shy of 1 per round. Ikram is not lost in the UFC, right? Sky's the limit for this guy as far as a lot of people are concerned. He's coming off the win over Warley Alves by KO. He also KO'd Phil Hawes and submitted Mario Sousa at Dana White's Contender Series. Now, Tricoli, on the other hand, just had a no contest at Dana White's Contender Series against Kenneth Berg. So we really don't know what this guy can do. But what I do know is Ikram is proven. Tricoli has 3 losses outside the UFC. It'll be interesting to see how the odds makers open this thing up, but there's no way I'm going against Ikram Aliskerov in this fight. I just think he's too strong, and he's proven now a little bit against some good fighters in a UFC setting, in UFC fights. So I like him to win this fight. Question is, will he get the KO or submission? That's how I feel about it. He's going to win and move to 16-1. He's just better all over here in the middleweight co-main event at UFC Vegas 93. Yeah, there's no reason not to go against him, right? I feel like what we've seen among a few different fighters is after they fight Khamzat, they look better in their next fights because their next fights are not Khamzat. I mean, even Gerald Mearshart, who went in there and got KO'd in 17 seconds, won 4 of the next 5 fights, right? But Khamzat's not that good. Yeah, so, I mean, what I'm saying is Ikram Aliskerov is virtually undefeated. He lost to Khamzat, who we got number 1 on the dude list. So we expect Khamzat to beat everyone in front of him. So to me, Ikram Aliskerov is undefeated. And that's why I have no choice but to go with him. Now, as we leap forward into the main event, it's a flyweight main event. All right, so everybody calm down. I know it's not one of the biggest weeks of all time or anything, but we just got to celebrate the UFC in the month of June. I mean, this is a month of celebration, man. You got Islam Makhachev, you got Conor McGregor, you got Khamzat Chimaev. I mean, it's just crazy. So, you know, we'll have to get through this one. But still, every main event's a big one. This is a big one in the flyweight division. Check it out. In the flyweight division main event at UFC Vegas 93, you got Alex Perez coming in at 25-8, taking on the undefeated up-and-comer Tatsuro Taira, who comes in at a perfect 15-0. Believe it or not, he's a slight favorite here. He's 1 inch taller at 5'7". He's 24 versus a 32-year-old Perez. So you're looking at a Perez right in his prime and a Taira who hasn't reached that level yet, but is a very good fighter, right? He's also got a 4-inch reach advantage. Both guys stand right-handed. In terms of activity, that leans to Perez, 4.1 significant strikes per minute to 3.5 for Taira. Takedown game, pretty much even, 2 takedowns over the course of 3 rounds. Now, Perez has an 82% takedown defense. He's coming off the win over Matthias Nicolau by 2nd round KO. Before that, he lost 3 fights in a row, but against the best, right? Muhammad Mokaev, Pantoja, Davison Figueiredo. So he's lost to some big names, but he got back in the win column when many people thought he would lose against Nicolau. Now, Tatsuro Taira, on the other hand, 71% takedown defense. So not quite as good as Perez, but still pretty good. He's coming off 5 straight UFC wins, right? Most recently against Carlos Hernandez by a 2nd round KO. Excuse me, Edgar Chairez, unanimous decision. And Jesus Aguilar, triangle armbar submission. And this is one you don't want to see in front of you when you're making predictions, because everyone's looking at Taira's 15-0, so he's going to win this fight, right? He's on the come up. But Perez is proven, man. Perez is a very tough fighter. He's got 25 professional wins. He's in the prime of his career. And a very difficult prediction here. Is Taira that good that he's on the level of the last 4 fights of Perez? I'm going to say no. I can't believe I'm saying that because I'm looking at the record. I'm like, I'm supposed to go with Taira. But I got to go with Alex Perez. I said a long time ago this guy can win a title. I don't think he's going to now, but he's certainly not done yet. He's a very strong fighter. I look for him to win this fight by decision. It's going to be a long fight, as you would expect in the flyweight division. He's going to win and move to 26-8 here. Flyweight main event at UFC Vegas 93. Please tell me I said Alex Perez. Please tell me I said Alex Perez. Because I thought at one point he'd win the title, like I said. I got to go with him. I mean, but Tatsuro Taira is a good fighter. We just don't know how good yet. And that's why I'm not going with him just yet. If he beats Alex Perez, then I know he's for real. And then I'm going to fall to 10-10 in the main event this year. That'll be terrible. That'll be terrible. But nonetheless, we got to keep it moving, man. Those are the fights for UFC Vegas 93. There's a bunch of other good fights on the undercard as well in the chat room. Homework in the house. Okay. The OG Hamza fans. Yes, sir. I was watching that last night, talking about Fight Inc. Almost done with episode 1. Yeah, I got through episode 1. I'm about midway through episode 2. You got Sean O'Malley. Well, first you got The Ultimate Fighter, and then Contender Series, all about that history, but real quick. And then now you got the rise of Sean O'Malley. I mean, it's just phenomenal, man. It really is good. Pavel Boyer saying the fight is so hard to predict because Taira got chin checked by Edgar. I know. A little worrisome. Says, I agree with the breakdown. I think Perez can beat him. I do too. We'll see. We'll see. And I hope it goes that way because if we can get this one and knowing Hamza is next week, and is it time? Like, after this week, it's a wrap. After this week, it's a wrap. And then we can finally talk about our boy.
Hamza Chimaev!
I cannot wait, man. I cannot wait till next week.
Hamza Chimaev! Oh, no!
Yep, that's what the Whitaker fans are going to be saying, right? Whitaker fans will be like, yeah, man, we're going to beat Hamza. We're going to beat Hamza. And then when the fight's over,
oh, no!
we're going to be looking for any reason to say, oh, Hamza didn't look that good. If it goes to a decision and Hamza wins, he didn't look that good, whatever. I really hope Hamza KOs him in the first round. I just hope he KOs him in the first round. Let's just get it over with quick, ladies and gentlemen. Because that's what we really all want to see. And Boyer, holding firm with the normal chat room, says Whitaker going to lose under 2 rounds. Homework. There's going to be a lot of tears from Whitaker fans and Hamza haters. Yeah, it's going to be.
Whoa!
Yeah, they're going to be upset, man. Because there are some, diehard Whitaker fans. Believe it or not, there are some diehard Whitaker fans.
Whoa!
And they're going to be upset, man. When Whitaker falls.
Oh, no!
Oh, no. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. It is what it is, man. But listen, I cannot wait till next week. The chat room is live tonight. Yes, sir. And it's crazy because we were doing all scheduled live streams, and it was like the normal people weren't getting in. And then now all of a sudden we went back to just, hey, hitting the live button and let's go. And more people are back in the chat room. So I don't know why that is, but that is the way that it is right now. And homework's in the house. And as I said in the chat room, tonight's homework is to watch Fight Inc. Because I'm planning on getting done with that with the doc tonight. So you can better believe I'm going to have a lot to talk about tomorrow. A lot to talk about. I can't wait. Homework saying I love Whitaker too, but no way I'm rooting for him. Yeah, I mean, we're Hamza fans first and foremost. And that's Hamza, well, Conor McGregor really, but Hamza too is what kind of created the dude list. It's a reminder to me, especially the top 5 and maybe even the top 10, that when those guys are fighting, those are the guys I believe are going to win. That's why Hamza's won. Like, I think John Jones at 2 is going to beat everyone he fights too. He doesn't ever have to fight Hamza. But Hamza still won because I truly believe that he beats everyone in front of him. And until he doesn't, he's going to be up there. But watching John Jones on Fight Inc., what he's done is incredible, man. What he's done is incredible. Well, listen, we're going to wrap it up, man. We'll be back tomorrow around the same time. Actually, a little later tomorrow. It's going to be a night episode because we got the baseball practice. So I'm going to be on here about between 8:30 and 9:30, or baseball game. But I'll be here between 8:30 and 9:30 tomorrow for sure, getting into Fight Inc. and all the best topics of the day. So for now, it's your boy Chris Cross. Hope you have a great day and God bless. As always, peace.